Coming up tonight, ministers say Singapore's current measures may not be enough as new COVID-19 variants are much more infectious this year compared to last year.
All the precautions we are used to, in fact, may not be sufficient to safeguard against the spread of the virus, and we need even more stringent measures.
This is the Straits Times Newsnight. Good evening, I'm Chao Suen. Now, just 3 days into a month-long Phase 2 heightened alert, ministers are considering a further tightening of measures. They say that Singapore is at a critical juncture and we must consider whether our current measures are adequate.
This is a very critical period for all of us in our fight against COVID-19. We know that the new variants are much more infectious than what we had to deal with last year. There is growing evidence that the new variants can spread through aerosolized particles, which means that all the precautions we are used to, in fact, may not be sufficient to safeguard against the spread of the virus, and we need even more stringent measures. And we will continue to see if there is a need to do any further tightening, whether the current measures are sufficient or whether there is a need to do any further tightening along the way.
Ministers also gave updates on Singapore's vaccination program. From Wednesday, everyone who registers for a COVID-19 vaccination will have their second dose scheduled 6 to 8 weeks after the first. That is a longer gap than the current interval of 3 to 4 weeks. While those who have already booked their appointments for the second dose will not be affected, they can volunteer to postpone it so that their dose can be given to someone else. Health Minister Ong Ye Kung explains what the new strategy means.
For the rest of May, we will be able to vaccinate another 300,000 individuals, first dose. In June, 700,000 Singaporeans, or 700,000 individuals, first dose. And July, 1.3 million individuals, first dose. Altogether, we will be able to reach 4.3 million vaccinated individuals by end of July. Status quo, we would have reached 3.9 million. But with this new strategy of prioritizing first dose, we will reach 4.3 million. So 400,000 more individuals will be vaccinated. It also means if all goes smoothly, sometime in August, about 4.7 million individuals will be covered by vaccination.
Numbers aside, here's what else you need to know. From tomorrow, Wednesday, May 19th, vaccination will extend to those aged 40 to 44. Now, if you're in that category, you can register online via vaccine.gov.sg. Also, the Health Sciences Authority has authorized the use of the Pfizer vaccine for children between 12 and 15 years old. It is the first COVID-19 vaccine approved for use in Singapore for this age group. Further details will be provided in due course. Now, with more and more children, particularly from primary school, getting infected, ministers said that the current strains appear more likely to infect children than previous ones. While there are no current plans to prioritize the vaccination of children, more observation remains to be done.
This year we've seen more infections being reported in children compared to last year. And it could very well be associated with viral variants of concern being more transmissible with higher viral loads. And then as a result of just that, the physical property of these viral variants having a higher viral load, kids are also getting more infected as well. Children certainly can be put at higher risk of getting infection simply because they are less vigilant and sometimes less disciplined about maintaining these protective measures. So from that point of view, we want to continue to teach our kids and continue to encourage them to be disciplined in the same measures that will protect them as they do for adults. We'll continue to look at the data to determine whether giving them early vaccination is helpful to also reduce the risk of them getting infected.
Ministers also said that it is more important than ever to not just wear masks properly, but to wear the right mask. This, as recent clusters suggest a higher level of transmission, likely attributed to new virus variants. They're urging everyone to choose masks with at least a 95% bacterial filtration capability, including both single-use or reusable masks.
There is nothing wrong with the current mask being used, but what we are saying is, based on the latest evidence of the new strains being more transmissible and the possibilities of aerosolized transmission, that simply means that the mask that you wear for protection ought to be of higher filtration capabilities. And that would mean wearing either a surgical mask or a reusable mask that is made of at least 2 layers of fabric. These would include masks that have been issued by the People's Association and Temasek Foundation. They have good filtration efficiency. But if you were just to take a simple piece of cloth and cover your mouth, that kind of a cloth mask may not have the same filtration capability and protective effect as a mask that has a higher level of filtration capability, like a surgical mask or one of these higher quality reusable masks.
Now, for more on today's Task Force news conference, you can watch the full clip on the Straits Times YouTube channel. Meanwhile, looking at the latest numbers, another day of COVID-19 community cases hitting the double digits, with 27 new cases reported today. 16 are linked to previous cases, while 11 are currently unlinked. One of the local cases is an NTUC staff working at the FairPrice outlet in Champions Court in Woodlands Avenue 1. Another is a primary 2 pupil who attends Catholic High School. All close contacts of the pupil, as well as staff at the FairPrice outlet, have been put on leave of absence. The outlet will also be closed until Thursday. Now, as Singapore continues to tighten measures, the Singapore Armed Forces is also rolling back its activities. In-camp training for operationally ready national servicemen has been deferred, and the individual physical proficiency test and other fitness training for them have been suspended with immediate effect until June 13th. The Ministry of Defence said that only in-camp training that is deemed essential for operations will continue. Additionally, fitness conditioning centres will also be closed. Now let's take a look at what's been trending on social media today. Mandopop superstar JJ Lin will no longer hold his virtual concert on June 6th. Instead, the highly anticipated concert has been postponed. The event's organizers said that the decision was made to prioritize the production team's safety and comply with safety distancing regulations. The show is produced in Taiwan, which has seen a recent resurgence in COVID-19 cases. Fans who have purchased e-tickets can use them for the postponed concert date or claim a full refund once details are available. And lovers of cinema, I have some bad news for you. Filmguard cineplexes will pause operations at its cinemas from today to May 31st at the earliest. It will reopen them when it feels that business conditions are right. It is the first cinema chain in Singapore to voluntarily go dark without being mandated to do so. A spokesman said the hiatus applies to all its outlets in Century Square, Bugis Plus and Kallang Leisure Park, because measures imposed under new COVID-19 restrictions as well as market factors have hurt box office takings. And more bad news, bubble tea lovers, some of you might find that your favorite bubble tea store has shut. While they have not been required to do so, major brands such as Koi and Liho have temporarily closed some of their many outlets. The affected outlets are Koi at Lucky Plaza, The Arcade and Tanjong Pagar Plaza, as well as Liho outlets at various places including Capital Piazza, J-Cube, NUS, One Raffles Place and Sentosa Beach Station. And speaking of closures, this one looks to be permanent. Popular fashion retailer Tempt has announced that it will be going out of business next month. The chain is holding a clearance sale at their Paya Lebar outlet, which started on May 17th. Now, before we go, Lion City Sailors has found a new coach. Korean Kim Do-hoon has signed a 2.5-year deal and is expected to officially link up with the team in June. He replaces Australian Aurelio Vidmar, who left the team in mid-season to rejoin his former club in Thailand. Kim famously led South Korea's Ulsan Hyundai to the AFC Champions League title last year. And that wraps up the Straits Times Newsnight. Do visit straitstimes.com to see more news and videos. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel by hitting the button below. Keep safe and we'll see you tomorrow.